And a lot of people think that HKUST students just don't have a life. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Chloe and today we are going to be talking about my thoughts and opinions on HKUST. So as some of you may know, HKUST is a university that I go to and I'm a first year student of. And HKUST stands for Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. So what I'll be covering for today will be the pros and cons of the location, teaching, culture, and students at the university. And also I'll be talking about some stereotypes and misconceptions of HKUST and help you decide whether or not it is worth it. This video is mainly aimed towards incoming freshmen or students who are trying to decide on which university they should go to, and it is also a little bit geared towards international kids or international school kids. So if you fit into this category, please continue watching because I will talk about my personal thoughts on HKUST. I just want to make it clear for everyone that this video is purely my opinion and my thoughts as a year one international school kid at HKUST. What I experienced at HKUST is not going to be the same as everyone else's experiences, obviously. And you can just take my advice with a grain of salt or anything you want. There's still a lot of things that I don't know about my university. So yeah, cool. Now that we got that over with, I'm gonna start off with talking about the location, like the physical aspects of the university. So HKUST is a relatively new, it's a very young university, yet it is surprisingly high on the rating list for universities. And the thing is, HKUST is an extremely beautiful school. Like, even just like the normal photos and videos that you take when you're in university is just sitting on the side of a mountain in Clearwater Bay and just facing the ocean and the sea, and it looks amazing, fabulous. You can watch the sunrise every morning if you so desire. It really is a really pretty place. It pretty much is like a miniature city. There's they have their own supermarket, they have a lot of restaurants for you to choose from, and of course they also have a lot of halls on campus, and they also have like this rocky shore beach, like they have a whole seaside, and it really is, yeah, it's like you don't really need to leave campus for much, like to live. You know, like almost everything is on campus, and buying things on campus is not expensive. It's not that expensive. Like, meals there are pretty cheap. You can have dinner for like less than $30. So yeah, like comparing to like the rest of the city, it's really not that expensive. And if you really enjoy like peace and quiet, it is far away from all the noise and the movements of the city, which I personally think is great. Some people may not like it though, and so moving on to the cons, obviously it is really far away from literally everything in the city, like especially if you're an international or exchange student and you really want to explore the city. It takes a lot of time and it's quite a hassle. So that is one thing bad about UST. Moving on to teaching and my experience with the teachers I have and how lectures are conducted. So the pros of teaching at UST is that there are honestly quite a few professors who are genuinely very kind and they love what they teach, and they're also quite good at teaching. there are also a lot of like TAs and advisors who are really, really, really extremely willing to help. Email your TAs and they will answer your questions within the day. Like, they genuinely want you to do well in your uni life. So especially if you need help with anything, don't be afraid to ask them for help. People here are generally extremely helpful and they are willing to see you succeed. Like, don't be afraid, because everyone needs help in uni. We're here to learn, and some things we learn are extremely challenging, and everyone knows that. And that is why there are people here to help, and that is why you should. If you do need help with anything, you can go to them and they genuinely will try their best to help you. Some cons about teaching. I don't want to be mean, but there are quite a few. Because one thing about professors is that they're hired by the university to both teach and do research. And sometimes a professor may be really, really good at research. However, because they also have to teach, sometimes they're just not great at teaching, or just with words, or expressing how they feel. And it's because of that barrier that the students would think that they are really bad teachers. However, the biggest problem that most students face at HKUST is that a lot of the professors are Chinese, and their Chinese accents are very, very thick and heavy. And sometimes it's really difficult to understand what the professor is saying, especially if you're a student who does not know Chinese or Cantonese. Sometimes the professor may also talk in Cantonese or Chinese to explain their ideas more thoroughly, because their English is slightly lacking, and that's also really difficult for international students. Of course, there are always bad professors, but honestly, that is the case for every single university around the world. Like, there's always gonna be like good professors who like truly love their students and want them to succeed, and there are gonna be bad professors who don't really care. That's just the reality of things. It doesn't mean that the university is bad, you know. And sometimes lectures, they can also get quite boring, and professors tend to think that like we already know what they're teaching, especially if you're a first year student, and they think that what they're teaching is very easy, when in fact it is extremely complicated for a large portion of students. And they would skip slides, or they would just say things like, oh, you should have already learned this in high school, and then they would just skip over a important thing that you're supposed to know. Like, for me, like personal experience, for one of the courses that I took last semester, it was an econ course, and I've never taken econ or business before. And this course was promoted as like a econ course that's introductory. It's for people who've never taken econ before, and I thought, you know what, maybe I should learn about some business and things like that. Is a very big part of like society. The professor in my course, he would always use this phrase, oh, you should have already learned this in high school, it's very easy. He would just skip like 5 slides, even though I didn't understand like the subject. And I know that there are people in my class who have done econ before, and they just are redoing this class for like high CGA to get like good grades, so they can just smurf everyone else. Like, that does happen. So that's probably why professors think that way. But yeah, that is a problem that does happen. However, there is quite a nice website that HKUST has, and it's called UST Space. And in UST Space, you can check for course reviews that students make. Professors and the teaching is ranked on a grade, pretty much. Like, the students would give the professor and the course a grade, like how easy is the work, like how good of the grade you can get, is the professor good at teaching, things like that. And it's extremely helpful especially if you can't ask other people like whether or not the professor is good. So I feel like that's very, very helpful. Yeah. Okay, so the third point I'll talk about is culture. And what I mean by culture is like student culture, the university's culture. Like each university has like a different vibe. They have like traditions and stuff like that. They have, it's not really tradition, but it's like how the student body generally acts. And so for HKUST, sometimes stereotypes, they are stereotypes for a reason, you know. Like majority of students at HKUST, they are tryhards. I may or may not be included into one of those, but most of us genuinely want to get a good grade. We want to get a high CGA. If you go to the LC or like the learning commons, like the library area, there will always be people who are revising there like 24/7. You can go there at like 4 a.m. and there will be people revising there. Like they're studying even though semester just started. Semester starts like September 1st, and the night of September 1st there will be people revising in the LC before you even know when the midterm is. It's just insane. As an international kid and like an IB student, I've never really understood like why you would have to grind so much and like memorize and everything. And then after the first midterm, I realized, damn, everyone here is so smart and hardworking except for me. Like, it's just insane. But yeah, if you come to UST, you have to know that yes, it is a very, very stressful university. There's a reason why people call it the University of Stress and Tension or Stress and Torture, because it is very stressful. Not because of how hard the course material is. In most cases, the course material is actually not that difficult to grasp and is not that complex if you try. But it's the fact that the curves are genuinely so high. Like, everyone is so hardworking and smart that if you just get average, it is seen as like not good enough. Like you want to be above mean. But the problem is not everyone can be above mean. Like there's gonna be 50% of people who are below mean no matter what actual grade you get. And because most courses are on a curve, sometimes it leads to people getting bad grades even if they tried really hard and they tried their best. And it does make people extremely anxious, but you have to remember that grades are not everything. Sometimes making connections and having a good social life and having a good support group is more important than your grades. Sometimes you just have to pass a course and just not think about it ever again, and that would do you so much better than studying and studying and studying all the time 24/7 with no rest, no sleep. Remember that if you come to UST. So the final thing I'll talk about is students and how people really interact with each other at UST. So of course there is a stereotype of all UST students being nerds and antisocial, because I mean, if you're taking science and engineering, like you have to be a nerd, right? Like STEM, nerd. Well, there are people who fit into that description. And I can tell you from personal experience that most HKUST students genuinely just want to have a good time. Yes, there are going to be people who just act like incels and they're sad that they cannot get girls, but like those exist in every single university. So just pay them no mind. There are quite a few different groups that people can fall into, and usually your friend group would just have the same type of people. So there are the local kids, which are like the Hong Kong DSE kids who grew up in Hong Kong, went to Hong Kong local schools, and then go to HKUST. And then there are the international or exchange kids. Sometimes they intertwine. And international kids, they can include quite a few types of people. They're the exchange people who come here for like a semester or two. They're the international kids who are now born or did not go to school in Hong Kong but then come to UST to study for 4 years. And they're the international school kids who are kids who did grow up in Hong Kong but went to international school and so tend to speak more English and probably has done the IB or A levels. And so they would tend to mingle with other international kids. There are also the mainlander kids who are from mainland China and they mostly speak Mandarin. And it's actually quite common for like each country to just have their own group, especially if there's a large group of people from that country at UST. And these include like Indians and Koreans as well. Like they tend to form their own groups. Personally, I'm actually really lucky because even though I went to international school in Hong Kong, I can also speak Cantonese. So most of my friends are the international students, like the international kids. But I do have friends that fall into other categories as well. But yeah, it is not difficult to make friends in UST, but I count myself extremely lucky because like one of the closest friends I have now, I made really, really early on. Like literally on orientation day, that was the day that I met them. And I'm forever grateful to that person. You know who you are. Because through that person, I've been able to meet essentially what is my friend group now. Yeah, like not everyone is this lucky. Sometimes it does take a week or two to finally meet your first friend, especially if you are more shy or if you're introverted. And if you don't have anyone who can support you, or even if you do make friends and they turn out to be toxic, it gets quite lonely at UST. And just want you to know, especially if you're an incoming freshman, that there are always a group of seniors who care and want you to experience a good university life at UST. Such as me, I will be a year 2 student next year. Hopefully. Yeah, I'll be a year 2 student next year, and especially if there are any incoming freshmen watching this, or anyone even just like at UST right now, like I'm always here to listen. You don't have to know me, but you can get to know me, and I genuinely want to help people who are struggling in UST. I'm always here to try my best, and I'm willing to give advice to every single one of you. I'll do my absolute best I can. Even if we're not able to party as often as other universities, we still try our best to have fun. And there are a lot of very interesting people at HKUST, and I bet that there is a group of people or society that is right for you, and you'll be able to find true long-term friends here. Everyone here is stressed out by midterms, by finals, by the course load, by the curves. And honestly, I know a lot of students may decide to not come to UST after knowing how stressful it is here, or they would decide to move to another university. However, I feel like being able to persevere always gives you the best rewards. So I know that there's always this stereotype where people are saying that this university is very dry and the curves are so high it's impossible to get good grades, and there's a bad boy to girl ratio, and that people here are too toxic and the workload is too high and no one has time to have a life. Okay, honestly, some of these are true. It depends on what outlook you want to have coming to UST. University is for learning, and it's for growing, not only academically but socially and spiritually as a person. Be grateful for what you have, especially on HKUST Secrets, which is a confessional slash let me rant about things page on Instagram, ran by a student. You'll see a lot of people just like rant about how that they're a virgin and they cannot get any girls and that UST is so dry, life isn't worth it. Don't do that, please. Don't act like an incel. That is the first step on getting girls to get interested in you, so have an open mindset and work on your own personality and yourself. I feel like I didn't fully grasp how UST is like until I got here, and especially there isn't a lot of information for international students, so that is the reason for making this video. If you guys want to ask me any questions about HKUST, my socials are down below. You can DM me on Instagram or even just leave a comment down below and I will reply. I love talking about my university because even though there are a lot of not great things about HKUST, I'm very proud to be an HKUST student. So yeah. Okay guys, so that is it for what I'll be talking about today. I think that this video is going to be a little bit long. I'm really sorry about that. However, if there are any other videos that you want me to do on, especially for HKUST, I will be willing to do that. There are more videos planned. I hope that you guys like this video and will like my future videos on UST. And I also really want to thank my good friend, the admin of HKUST Secrets, because that person was the one who gave me a lot of the ideas and stereotypes. I just want to thank that person very much. Literally an amazing supporter of my videos. I swear to God, that person. If you guys have any other stereotypes about HKUST and their students, please leave a comment down below. I would love to see them. I find them hilarious. If you vibe well with this video, please leave a like down below. And if you vibe well with me, please consider subscribing. It would mean so much to me. And yeah, I guess I'll just see you guys in the next one, friends. Bye!